A man sits in a room designed for total convenience. The lighting adjusts to his mood. A machine delivers food at the press of a button. Outside, the world is complex, competitive, and indifferent to his needs. He believes he is preparing to conquer it, but the room is actually teaching him how to lose. Every year, millions of people search for the specific mechanics of wealth. They study interest rates, market trends, and tax codes. Therefore, the information is available to everyone. But if the information is public, the reason for the failure cannot be a lack of data. Most people assume they aren't wealthy because they haven't found the right opportunity, but the reality is that they have built a biological resistance to the effort required to take it. This is the psychological tax of the modern era. Consider the biological function of discomfort. In a natural environment, hunger is a signal for action. Cold is a signal for movement. These triggers kept the human machine sharp. Therefore, the ancestors who survived were those whose systems reacted most aggressively to a lack of resources. But we have removed the triggers. When you can solve every minor discomfort with a 5-second interaction on a screen, your brain loses the ability to sustain effort over long periods. You are training your dopamine system to expect a payoff before the work has even begun. Therefore, when a real wealth-building task requires 6 months of silence and 0 feedback, your system interprets that silence as a failure and shuts down. You aren't rich yet because you are addicted to the micro-win. The micro-win is the notification, the liked comment, the quick meal. These events provide the chemical sensation of achievement without the physical reality of it. Therefore, you feel productive while standing still. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with unrewarded time. This is the period where you are doing the work, but the world has not noticed yet. In this gap, there is no dopamine. There is only the repetition of the task. Most people fail here because their tolerance for unrewarded time has been eroded by convenience. Therefore, the first step to wealth isn't an investment strategy. It is a metabolic reset. You must deliberately reintroduce the signals that modern life has removed. Stop viewing your phone as a tool for connection and start viewing it as a sedative. It numbs the hunger that is supposed to drive your output. When you remove the sedative, the hunger returns. But this hunger is uncomfortable. Most people interpret this discomfort as anxiety. They assume something is wrong. Therefore, they return to the sedative to fix the feeling. In reality, that feeling is the engine starting. Wealth is not a reward for being smart. It is a reward for being able to sit with that specific discomfort longer than anyone else in the room. We see this pattern in the history of trade and industry. The individuals who built empires were not necessarily the most brilliant, but they were the ones who could endure the longest periods of uncertainty. When a sailor in the 1700s left port, he was entering a period of months, sometimes years, where there was no feedback. There was no way to check the status of his investment. He had to exist in a state of high-stakes tension without a single micro-win to sustain him. Therefore, his brain was conditioned for the scale of the journey. Today, if a web page takes 3 seconds to load, the average person feels a surge of irritation. This irritation is a symptom of a system that has been down-regulated. Your threshold for frustration has been lowered so far that the minor friction of daily life feels like an obstacle. If 3 seconds of waiting is an obstacle, a 3-year business plan is an impossibility. Therefore, Your lack of wealth is a measurement of your lack of frustration tolerance. The market is a machine that transfers money from the impatient to the patient. This is often quoted, but rarely understood at a biological level. Impatience is not a personality trait, it is a neurological state. It is the inability of the brain to maintain focus without a constant drip of chemical rewards. When you check your bank account every morning hoping for a miracle, you are signaling that your system cannot handle the unrewarded time. You are looking for a sign that the work is over so you can return to comfort. But for the wealthy, the work is never over because they have decoupled their effort from the reward. They do not work because they are hungry for a meal. They work because they have mastered the mechanics of the task itself. The work is the primary state. The wealth is a lagging indicator, a ghost that follows the movement of the body. If you want to change your financial reality, you have to stop looking at the numbers and start looking at your relationship with silence. Most people use noise to drown out the realization that they are not moving. They listen to podcasts about hustle while sitting in traffic. They watch videos about strategy while laying in bed. This creates a phantom productivity. You are consuming the vocabulary of success without performing the grammar of it. Therefore, you feel like you are part of the conversation, but your bank account remains silent. True wealth requires a level of focus that is socially isolating. In the early stages of any significant venture, you will look like a failure to everyone around you. You will be working on something that has no visible result. Your friends will be going out, enjoying the micro wins of social validation, while you are sitting with the discomfort of the gap. If you need their approval to keep going, you have already lost. Their approval is just another sedative. Therefore, the ability to be misunderstood for long periods of time is a prerequisite for financial independence. If you look at the architecture of modern life, it is designed to keep you in a state of low-level arousal. The colors on your apps, the structure of your feed, the pacing of your entertainment, it is all calibrated to keep your brain firing just enough to keep you from leaving, but not enough to drive you to create. You are being farmed for your attention. And because attention is the foundational unit of wealth, you are literally giving away your fortune one scroll at a time. The brutal truth is that you are currently paying a tax on your own future, and you are paying it in the currency of your focus. Every time you choose the easy dopamine of the present, you are selling a piece of your future independence to buy a moment of current comfort. It is a bad trade. It is the equivalent of burning the wood of your house to keep yourself warm for an hour. Therefore, the question is not what you need to do to get rich. The question is what you are willing to lose. Are you willing to lose the convenience, the micro-wins, and the constant digital validation that makes your current life bearable? Are you willing to be the person who sits in the silent room, who refuses the sedative, and who embraces the hunger? If the answer is no, then the room you are sitting in isn't a preparation for the world. It is a cage. And the most dangerous thing about this cage is that it is comfortable. It is designed to make you forget that the door was never locked. You just stopped wanting to walk through it. The path to wealth is visible to anyone who is willing to look away from the screen. It is paved with the tasks that everyone else is too bored or too anxious to do. It is found in the unrewarded time. If you want the life that only 1% of people have, you must possess the neurological stamina that 99% of people have traded away for a notification. Stop looking for a secret. The secret is that there is no shortcut to the biological evolution required to handle power. You must build the machine before you can run the factory. And the machine is built in the quiet, frustrating, unglamorous hours where nothing seems to be happening. Wealth is the residue of a life lived with intentional friction. Every successful movement in history began with a period of monastic devotion. Whether it was the development of a new technology or the building of a trade route, the creators had to exist in a world of their own making before the rest of the world could see it. This requires a closed-loop psychology. Most people have open-loop psychologies. They need the world to tell them they are doing a good job. They need the market to tell them their idea is valuable. Therefore, when the market is slow to respond, as it always is, they close the loop by quitting. They interpret the market's silence as a no, when it was actually just a not yet. The wealthy understand that the market is a lagging indicator. It is a mirror that shows you what you were doing 6 months ago. Therefore, if you want the mirror to show you wealth in the future, you must act as if you are wealthy in the present, not by spending money, but by spending your time with the same ruthlessness as a billionaire. A billionaire does not trade an hour of focus for a minute of gossip. They understand the exchange rate. You, however, are likely treating your time as if it were an infinite resource. You kill time. But time is the only thing that cannot be recovered. When you kill time, you are murdering your own potential. Therefore, the reset begins with your environment. You must make the sedatives harder to reach than the tools. If your phone is the first thing you touch in the morning, you have lost the day before it has begun. You have surrendered your primary focus to the highest bidder. You have allowed the world to dictate your internal state. Instead, you must cultivate friction. Make it difficult to be comfortable. Work in a chair that doesn't let you slouch. Leave your devices in another room. Create a space where the only thing you can do is the work. At first, your brain will scream. It will invent reasons why you need to check your email or look up a fact. These are not rational thoughts. They are the withdrawal symptoms of a dopamine addict. If you can sit through that withdrawal without breaking, you are doing the real work of wealth building. You are upgrading your internal operating system. You are moving from a consumer biology to a producer biology. A producer biology is characterized by the ability to generate value from internal resources. You do not need the spark of an external trend to start. You are the spark. You have trained your system to find satisfaction in the mastery of the process, rather than the consumption of the result. This is the brutal truth. Wealth is not something you get. It is something you become. It is the outward manifestation of an internal state of high-resolution focus and sustained effort. The reason you aren't rich yet is because you are still trying to get it while remaining the person who is addicted to the room. You are trying to take the fruit without planting the tree, and the tree requires years of water and sun before it yields a single gram of sugar. If you are not willing to be the person who waters the dirt for 1,000 days without a leaf in sight, you will never taste the fruit. The world is full of people who are waiting for the perfect time to start. They are waiting for the economy to change, or for a mentor to appear, or for their passion to hit them. They are waiting for the room to tell them it's time to leave, but the room will never tell you to leave. It will only get more comfortable until you die inside it. Therefore, you must be the one to break the glass. You must step out into the cold, indifferent world and start moving. Not because you know where you're going, but because you know that staying still is a death sentence for your ambition. The wealth you seek is on the other side of the boredom you're avoiding. It is hidden in the tasks you've been putting off. It is waiting in the silence you've been drowning out with noise. The path is clear. The door is open. The only question is whether you are still capable of walking through it, or if you have become part of the furniture in the room of your own making.